Welcome to the Tile Happy Hour. It is Tuesday evening, January the 16th, 2024. Can you believe it? We're almost halfway through the first month of this year. But tonight is an exciting night because we're here to talk tile. If you've ever wondered or wanted to know anything about tile, you've stumbled on to the right podcast. Me and my good buddy, John Tedesco, who is right beside me, we are tile, I loosely say experts, but I'm going to say experts. And here is the Tile Happy Hour. John, I hope you're not snowed in, but I'm kind of jealous. You got a little bit of snow.
Yeah, we got a bunch of snow today here in New York. Manageable. It did get to be like 35 in the afternoon. So people are able to shovel, but now we're down below 30. So now it's a sheet of ice. So
that's no good. Ice is the worst. Even I know that, being from the South. I think that's all we ever get is just ice. But the weather's been nuts.
It has been. I mean, there's been a lot of moisture in the last month, but we've, at least here in New York, we've skirted snow. I think it was many days since it snowed last. So
701 days.
Yeah, I thought
that's what the news said. It said it's been 701 days since our nation's largest city had seen snow. So that's
crazy. Today is the day.
That noggin don't forget anything. And I hope that I'm glad you didn't forget about the podcast. Wherever you're watching from, you're probably watching us on one of the social media channels that we know and love. That's YouTube, LinkedIn. Even now, John and I think we figured out this Instagram thing. Missing one. We're broadcasting on X, even though I don't know that anybody watches us on X, but hey, we're there.
We just don't know. Yeah. So this is John Tedesco. This is the Tile Happy Hour. My cohort and co-host Craig Cahoon, broadcasting live from the beautiful North Carolina. And I'm here in New York, broadcasting every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We have a lot of information coming your way, but this is your show as well. So if you have any questions, ideas, comments, please let us know live. Please let us know in the comments. And we can check it out now or even in the future. If you post something after the show has broadcast, we'll be glad to get back to you. So glad you guys are here.
Even when we're not live.
Even when we're not live, this will live on, enduring.
That's right. That's right. And let us know where you're watching from. If you're out there live, we'd like to give you a shout out on the show. Today it seems a little weird. We're talking about this today, but we've had a busy month so far. But I wanted us to discuss what's going out of style this year, John, and what is coming into style. Maybe something has run its course. I think there are several things that I have in my mind that I'm wondering, hey, are they finally done? Is it finally over? Is 2024 the year we're going to bury this thing and throw away the key? And then what maybe was released last year and we think is going to explode this year, kind of like Bitcoin's doing right now. Who knew?
Yeah, Bitcoin's doing well. I hear they approved a certain part of Bitcoin to be standardized in certain financial circles, and I think that's making it rise. But Bitcoin, Dogecoin,
all the coins. I think there's been a little, and I was kind of watching it a little bit last year. It got a little boring, but the SEC, I think, gave a little bit of clarification. And obviously, we're tile nerds, not finance nerds, but the SEC gave a little bit of clarification on it, kind of based on the XRP Ripple case. And I think now that is close to over or almost being over, that has given a little bit of stability to the what do you call them? Not Bitcoins. What's the general term?
Yeah, I lost it. Yeah, it's a pretty simple
cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency. That's right. That's why we know tile.
That's right. That's why we know tile.
Can't forget porcelain or ceramic, but crypto.
Yeah. Shout out to Lasso's Tile, Jorge. He's always in the comments. We appreciate you, Jorge. And one day we talk soon about getting a team together and having a contractors roundtable. So look forward to that when we can work that out. Colorado Springs, I bet they have snow.
They have snow. I think they have. I heard about avalanches in Colorado. My brother's actually stranded out there.
Like the Chevrolet Avalanche?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, crazy weather. Yeah, the weather was in Colorado was like -20 chill or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, we were at the coast this past weekend. We had a 3-day weekend for the school. So we went down there and actually got in the pool Sunday night. It was, I think, 30 degrees, but we had heated the pool up to 105. So
105, that's hot tub. That's more
that's
than
hot tub. That's hot tub. But yeah, wow. Weather's been crazy. And hey, let's just let's talk about one thing that since we're talking about the weather, -5 in Colorado today. I'm sure that's probably the actual temperature, and the wind chill is probably like -20. John, do you know the things you need to do to protect your job when it is cold outside?
Things you need to do to protect your tile job.
Yes, your tile job. Yeah, not just any job. Your tile project when it's cold outside. Do you?
Well,
there's a couple of numbers you need to do, and then there's some tricks.
Oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to give you some general advice.
Okay, go.
Take the product out of your van so it's not ice cold when you're installing it. Setting material, definitely don't let it sit in your van. And that's all I got. What do you got?
Well, what about if you're working in a non-conditioned home?
In the winter?
In the winter.
Non-conditioned home in the winter. I don't know. Find a job that has heat, because that sounds bad.
That's right. The number that to keep in mind, and for everybody that's out there, the number to keep in mind is 55 degrees and rising. And that's not air temperature, that's substrate temperature, which can get tricky because sometimes your concrete will hold that cold in and it won't warm up. Even if you've got radiant heating or air heating in the room,
wow,
it'll take that concrete a long time to warm up. But what happens is if the concrete or something is below that temperature, it could flash freeze the water that's in the mortar, and you don't have a bond. So 55 degrees and rising is the number that you should kind of look for. And I actually have one around here somewhere, but it's a little infrared thermometer. You know, when it's cold outside and our crews would hit the job sites in the morning, we would walk around and go, no, we can't.
You know what? I learned something today. You know, usually you bring up a topic, I have knowledge on it if it's tile related. Yeah, I was completely in the dark.
No, completely in the dark. Now, and the other thing that's really not, I mean, I guess it is something Jorge probably could tell us, but I thought they were going out of style, but then they came back, was bucket warmers. Do you know what a bucket warmer is?
I mean, I can understand the
context
concept.
Clues.
Bucket warmer. How do you? I don't know how you heat a bucket.
Yeah, well, they make a little, and this sounds completely unsafe, but they make an element that you actually sit on the ridge of your bucket and sticks into your water, plugs into the wall, and it warms up your water so that you have warm water for mixing. Because once again, you don't want that water to be 30 degrees, 40 degrees. You want it
it's like a metal prod that sticks in and heats up the water.
It reminds me of, I don't know if you ever had an aquarium. It reminds me of a heater that you would put in an aquarium.
No, I haven't.
Yep.
I'm visualizing like a tabletop frying pan skillet, and you heat it up,
heating the water on a Blackstone,
and you stick the thing in, and it heats up the grill. I don't know, griddle.
Yeah.
But doesn't product? I don't understand. Doesn't product get mixed in with it, or is that just a bucket for clean water?
Yeah, you can use it to, normally you have this way our teams used to do it, have a bucket for warm water, and you just keep filling it and you use that warm water in your, whether it's in your mix or whether it's in your cleaning water. But good point. You also want it for your wet saw so your saw doesn't freeze. Jorge's saying, or it sounds like they have a saw maybe that has a built-in heater.
Oh,
Like I said, new things. That's what we're talking about today is 2024. What are the new things? John, I'm
now they
going to
have
ask you
plug-in hybrid MK saws now.
plug-in hybrid saws. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I've been seeing quite a lot of online are these dustless dry saws. Have you seen those?
For tile.
Yeah. Yes. I
Let me
mean,
keep on topic.
we're not talking about lumber today.
I gotta
Yeah.
keep qualifying your questions. I wasn't sure what you're talking about. I've seen like guys sand like wood floors with like these dust bags.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I haven't seen a tile saw without dust or
Yeah. I've
friction.
seen, and now I'm not terribly familiar with them, but
Wow.
I know one of the followers that one of the guys I follow on, I don't remember what it was, his name's Sal Blasi, I think, with Elite Tile. I think he's in Boston, but he has done some work with these dustless diamond saws. And from what he shows on his TikToks and his videos is they cut just as good as a wet saw. And one of the crazy things, the good things is, cutting with a wet saw, number one, it's wet. It's messy. And if it's cold outside and you got to set up outside, you've got that cold water, it can be annoying.
Yeah. Well, is it not creating dust or is it capturing the dust?
It's capturing the dust. I think the way I envision it in my head, and I didn't do any research on this topic at all. So I'm talking off the top of my head. The way I envision it in my head is that, as the blade is running, and it's not an arm saw, it's like a tabletop saw, like you would have for a for wood. I think it's got a negative pressure going down below and is sucking that dust and stuff into the body of the saw, which creates this dustless atmosphere. But the cuts that I've seen on it have been very clean.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's like a table saw for tile, and then it has some kind of suction going on where it captures the dust before it escapes into the air.
Yep, and everybody's worried about silica and silica issues, and that would, should get rid of it.
That silica is pretty interesting. I mean, there's a lot of craziness going on. I mean, it's an interesting topic. Did you see in Australia that they banned quartz countertops?
No, I didn't.
So Australia
completely?
Not that if you have it, you have to get rid of it, but they literally have now banned either the new sale of or the new fabrication of quartz counters. I mean, we're talking, all the major brands that we know. And I understand the gravity of the medical situation because people are cutting and the micro silica gets in people's lungs and it causes some really serious health issues. But there are ways of mitigating that, I believe.
Absolutely.
I mean, for a product that, like, the amount of time the product is in dust mode is like when you're fabricating it. I mean, what could it be? A half hour, 2 hours? Like, what's the amount compared to its life cycle, right? So it's going to last 10, 20, 30 years or more.
Yeah.
Why can't they just, install some stringent, fabrication techniques instead of throwing it out? They literally banned it.
Now, is the silica level in quartz countertops like extremely more than, let's say, cultured marble or some of the other?
Yeah. Well, cultured marble is a misnomer. It's just plastic.
Yeah. But still, I mean, that can't be good for you to breathe in either.
Well, yeah, that's my point also. Like, yeah. Are we going to ban lumber because there's dust, there's sawdust in the air when you're cutting it? I mean, it's probably a little different because I think the silica is, particularly finite and damaging to your lungs if it gets in your lungs, as opposed to, I guess, sniffing Parmesan cheese or sawdust.
I remember vividly when the silica issue started coming to light. I don't remember. That was probably 2005, maybe 2006, 2007. We were very concerned about it in the commercial tile world because, everything we did was really large jobs. And the way the law was being written and people were reading it, we were afraid that it was going to be so stringent that we'd have to set tile in Tyvek suits. And what was really interesting is we were doing a really large job at the Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville. So it was a a barracks, and so hundreds of bathrooms. And the way they were building the thing, building the barracks, it was probably 5 or 6 floors. They were finishing a floor at a time. And what we did or decided to do is we hired a third-party testing company that came in to test the silica levels at all stages of installation, which was
what were you installing?
It was, I think the majority of it was 2x2 floor tile, so unglazed mosaic floor tile, mud bed floors, so that was all sand and cement floors, ceramic wall tile, marble thresholds, and there may have been a couple other marble pieces in there. So those were the things we're installing. And what we did is for a solid week, we had, the big thing was when you drop the stuff in the bucket, it goes poof, and a cloud of what they were saying silica came out. So we had all of the guys on the team. They had silica measuring devices on their shoulders. And since we're at different phases, we had a grout team phase, we had a prep phase, and we had a tile setting phase. And after a week of testing, with using the same procedures we didn't change anything we did. We just told the guys set tile just like you normally do. When we got the results back, the silica content was minuscule and was very small.
But where was the concern? Was it in the setting, the grout, or the tile itself, or the?
It was in all of the setting materials, because at that time, none of the setting materials had started mitigating the silica. They were still using silica as their main base product. Right. Now you have silica that's wrapped in a polymer that's this and that and the other. I don't know, chemistry and stuff. I don't know, but it was really interesting to see, even though there was a ton of dust in the rooms, and these rooms are small with not a ton of ventilation. Even with all that, the silica levels were still very, very low. And even we had it on the guys cutting too, because that was the big concern with this quartz. That's what you brought up here. That's concern too. They're outside cutting, and they still had the things on. They were still very small. Not saying that that's the way to do it and you shouldn't mitigate it, because we should always do better and mitigate it. But sometimes I dare say the lobbyist or whoever gets involved and things get blown out of proportion without the actual testing, which is why we decided to pay for the testing.
Well, that makes sense, but I do have a question for you.
Sure.
While you were there and while you had these guys with all this testing equipment, did anyone bother testing the drinking water?
No. Nope. We probably drank a lot of the water, and a lot of the water was used in the thing. So it could be part of the problem. I don't know.
Yeah,
because I did not fill out my form for the lawsuit, though.
Oh, okay, interesting.
My mother-in-law did, because my mother-in-law, a little fun fact, she was Queen Marine for almost 30 years.
What's that term you said?
Queen Marine. What's
that mean?
She was the secretary to the general that ran Camp Lejeune.
Oh, wow.
So when things went down, she normally knew about it first. And her, she said the best story she's ever told me is when the Reagans came to Camp Lejeune to visit the base, and Nancy was traveling with President Reagan, and they had to turn a men's head into a woman's bathroom just in case she needed to use the restroom. And she took plants and put in all the urinals. That's what the Queen Marine does. But she was probably the highest you could get as a civil servant. And she worked for, I think, 2 or 3 commandants of the Marine Corps.
Wow. I never heard of that title. I didn't know what that little what symbol it is on your lapel.
I don't know what it is either. She's very humble, so she'll never show us. But yeah, that barracks at there, we've done plenty of them. hopefully
But what do you think about that ban? I mean, doesn't that seem extreme?
that's crazy. But yeah, I expect it from Australia. Australia's kind of nuts anyway. I mean, I love Australia. I've never been there, but it seems I love their accents. But the things I hear that the Australian government does seems a little wacky.
Yeah, but I have some inside information.
Okay.
At least one quartz manufacturer is hot on a product that's no quartz, no silica whatsoever, no quartz in the quartz.
Ah,
yeah.
Did any of the quartz manufacturers think of bringing a lawsuit against the?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'm assuming the industry knew that this bill was moving along. I just heard it recently that it was passed, and I did speak with a few people in the industry, and they're like, "Wow, this is crazy." And the thing is,
nuts.
That's my biggest thing is like a product that has such a long life cycle. Let's say it really is almost hard to cut with a person. So you have water jet doing it, and don't even have people there. If you can't have protective equipment, which I'm sure you can have protective equipment. Something that's lasting that long, just for the hour or two, you need to fabricate it like once.
And for the most part, I think all of that is cut off site with water jets anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're worried about it fabricating in a shop. No one's cutting quartz in a job site. I mean, very rarely are you cutting.
When you make a mistake, that's the only time you're doing it.
I mean, I could see on the job site, sometimes they pre-score like the sink cutouts and they, cut it like 90% and then finish it off in the job site where the sink is cut out like almost all the way. And then they just complete it on the job site. I mean, so those are little things that you could kind of work around, but to ban it completely to me seems way overkill. Really.
All right, John, here is one item.
Anyway, wait, hold on. So let's talk about trends. Okay. Maybe the new trend is back to granite. I mean, not because not because it's not because it's style wise, but it just maybe natural.
It's all you can buy.
Yeah.
Or maybe people are going to go back to Formica.
Yeah. Oh, right. Formica.
All right. Tell me this, John. I've been waiting on this to die for so long. And I'm not sure that I want it to, but yet I feel like it has run its course. And that is wood look porcelain tile.
Ah. So wood look porcelain tile. You want to know where it's going?
I feel like it has to go out of style. And I want you to tell me yes or no that's going to happen in 2024.
I think it's peaked a long time ago. But what there's two things going on in the wood. I call them wood grain porcelains. Wood grain porcelains. There's two things going on in the world. One is they've become much more realistic looking. So it's kind of just when people thought they were getting tired of it, they're like, wow, that's nicer. So the factories have been able to keep the demand from tanking because they keep coming up with newer and more realistic and many different faces. But the plank porcelain is definitely diminishing. What's increasing is like the parquet look, like a 24 by 24 porcelain that has like a pattern in it of wood. So does
that look real, or is it supposed to look real, or no?
If you don't have any other wood in the room, it looks good. If you have you can't have like your kitchen in porcelain and then your living room in real wood, because that I think is hokey. So overall, I think it's on a downtrend. Yeah, downward trend. Absolutely. But I think the two things that I mentioned, the increase in technology and definition and able to print, if that's the word, textures and slight patinas, it's kind of kept the porcelain, you know what it is. Maybe it's not increasing from people that were putting porcelain down. Now they say, let's get wood. I think some people who were maybe who wanted wood looks, there's always people coming to this side, right? They were going to get wood and then they were convinced to do porcelain. So you may lose some typical designers that are designing with tile, may lose them, but then you're going to gain somebody new who was just about to put wood down and someone convinced them because of the durability and the cost effectiveness and no VOCs from sealers, and they want to be green, and porcelain is pretty much clay, water, and fire. Wood, it's arguable, I guess, the type of wood, and there is maintenance in wood. And so if you want to be, so there's a lot of factors that are, but I think it's on its way down a little.
You think it's on its way down, but not completely out?
I think it will always be just a segment, but it definitely is peaked. Some people will like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. 6x24 porcelain. It looks like wood.
Yeah, I think we've talked about your wood porcelain journey, and it started out pretty hokey, and for the longest time it was. And I do agree with you. The technology has increased so much that, you can get a wood plank that really looks like wood. And but I don't know. I keep waiting for it to drop off, but yet I still see tile distributors coming up. Hey, we got this new line, and lo and behold, it's a wood line, a wood look porcelain.
Well, think about this. You have a house, say in the Hamptons on Long Island, right?
You always go to the Hamptons.
Yeah. And you're on the beach and there's sand and there's moisture in the air.
Yeah.
But your house is $5-10 million. Tile wasn't really as maybe even sophisticated enough. They wanted like this real kind of wood that's exotic or, almost extinct. But that's where the increase in design technology helps, because then you get to the point where even the upscale designers, like, you're putting wood down and you have to worry about the moisture. You have to worry about sand on your feet with wood.
Yeah.
So I think as the technology increases and allows it to look nicer, the higher end market accepts it, embraces it more. So where you lose on one, you gain on the other.
Well, tell me this, since you're familiar with the Hamptons and expensive wood flooring. How does the wood flooring hold up to a beach home? Where I know I have a home at the coast, and there's sand everywhere.
The thing is this, in reality, if you have a multi-million-dollar home in Manhattan and a beach house, you're not living in the house 24/7, 365, so it's not like you're raising your family of 5 at the beach house. So and then you do have sand and moisture, but it's controlled. If you have, a 5,000 square foot house, you're going to have a mud room with porcelain tile in it. And you're not really going to be walking from the beach, like, straight onto your kitchen floor.
Gotcha.
So even though those things I pointed out before are a legitimate concern, in reality, you're taking your shoes off, you're going into the mud room, so it's not a 24/7 household. It's usually empty nesters, so, and the real factor is, if it wears, you start over. You just pay someone to finish it, or
that's right.
It out,
Which unfortunately I'm going to be
traveling
that journey in the next couple of years for our home here. But okay, well, that was my first one. Is the wood look tile out? The next thing I was thinking about. Now, I'm a commercial guy, and I know that you don't deal with commercial stuff that much, but I've also seen a decline, and I'm wondering if it's going out. The commercial 2x2 unglazed mosaics.
Oh, wow. So, defining the word commercial is different for everybody, right? So if I'm doing a multi-family home, someone would consider that commercial, but it's residential, but it's, 400 units. But you're talking about like a retail store,
like
or
government buildings,
Yeah, 2x2 unglazed, like American Onion or Dow, and used to be Windburn, and
I think Windburn went out of business several years ago. But decades ago. I remember
them. It's gone out of it's completely dead as far as the style. It's just if you have a real basic commercial job, an architect just wants to like look up on a website or pull a binder off the shelf and spec a 2x2 unglazed.
So you're still saying it's available? You think it's still going to be available for that random janitor's closet and mop sink?
Yes, and for shower floors
and for commercial shower, non-residential floors. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. And you know what I think is holding it on? Those plants are so old, and yet they can't be retrofitted to do anything else. So I I think, they're just going to keep decreasing production until it's upside down. And once it's upside down, I think that's when they'll be gone, in my opinion.
That's a good point. And since you're speaking of that market, what is absolutely dead, but has seen a resurrection to some degrees, is quarry tile.
That's odd to me. I noticed that just last year we brought it on to our in our catalog, and I was like, quarry tile, that's so odd. But where did that start, or how did that start?
Well, back in the day where quarry was made by American Olean and Metropolitan, Quarry Red, Canyon Red, right?
Mm-hmm.
And McDonald's, even the main areas of some fast food restaurants would have a quarry tile, and then in the back of the house they would have the quarry with the metals abrasive in it.
Yes,
I mean, that stuff is
terrible.
It's just, to maintain that is a disaster.
If you want to destroy something to clean your floor, try running a mop across that. I mean, it's terrible. And falling down. Gosh, if you ever tripped and slid on that thing, it's worse than falling off a motorcycle on the highway. It was odd to me. I mean, obviously, I think it's still popular in the restaurant world, but it was weird that we added it to our catalog, and so I'm guessing there's been a resurgence of it.
Well,
design-wise, maybe.
Well, yes. So it's more of a functional thing. First, it's upgraded. It's 8 inches, not 6 inches, right? So for the most part, that we have I think it's called Elemental, I think, and it literally is just a quarry tile, but it has a nice little orange peel texture, like a little different than normal. But there was a major problem the last 2 years where there are certain raw materials all of a sudden were not available for some reason geologically.
Okay.
And there was some real popular colors, and they actually there's only a few manufacturers now who make quarry, and one of the main ones had to cut their products like in half as far as color options because they couldn't get raw materials in a consistent or reliable manner.
Summitville used to have a ton of colors in quarry tile.
Summitville had the wood look. Summitville had the first wood look.
It's the weirdest looking quarry tiles, but I think Dow tile and AO, it was your red, your gray, and the tan. I think that was the 3 colors they stuck with.
Oh my God, this phone is beeping away here. I'm trying to shut it off. Sorry.
More important people. If you need to go, John, just let us know.
So Summitville was really the first wood looking tile in the industry.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, the 4x8, and they would do it in the the parquet basket weave or something like that.
2 tiles this way, 2 tiles that way.
Yeah.
In New York, they used to do it like in Baskin Robbins, some ice cream shops, and some fancy Burger Kings, and 4x8. That was a better than normal quarry because it had something about the texture that made it, maybe because it was like veiny, you didn't notice when it got dirty.
Yeah.
There was something a little more upscale about it. But that was the Summitville. Oh my God, that was a hot line. And they used to do so much quantity because think about, these retail stores that had hundreds or thousands of locations, and they would get it.
And I think all of their tile, if I'm, you guys out there, correct me if I'm wrong, I think all of Summitville's were extruded. They weren't pressed. I think that made a difference in the performance. Yeah. When it was the pressed tiles, which, you're a Dow tile person, there was quarry tile and there was quarry textures. Quarry textures was a pressed tile. In AO, I think it was called Quarry Naturals.
Correct.
I think the pressed tiles weren't as dense, if I remember correctly, but the extruded tiles they had square edges. They were very, and they were more expensive.
Yeah, it was a high-end quarry. Extruded definitely, like the Summitville, were more durable or more easy. They weren't as absorbent, I think. And
I don't think so either. Yeah.
The performance,
but I mean, it seems like I remember back in the day, you could get a truckload of quarry textures for like $1.69. I mean, it was cheap. Where extruded quarry tile was like $2.49. and have no idea what those prices are today.
Well, so interestingly enough, so as you mentioned, Tile Bar brought on a line of Quarry. It's been really hot. One of the reasons it's been hot is it's just like if you carry a purple tile with like yellow polka dots, like you're the only one who has it. So it's like we're carrying Quarry tile. There's so few choices in the market that percentage wise, it's not a big part of our business, but it's doing well because there's so little available in the market, and we're one of the few people kind of brought it to the forefront again, I think, and that's been selling, interestingly enough. But it's like $10 a foot. It's not like you go to Quarry because you would go to Quarry because it's $1.39. I mean, I'm talking
it was inexpensive.
Now it's not an expensive.
Wow,
I can remember. I can remember my parents telling me about like a particular Italian cuisine dish, and they would go out and they'd go to a restaurant and charging, whatever, $25. They're like, this, what are you talking? This dish was made because we were poor and we could only afford scraps and beans. And now they're selling it as like something exotic, and that's what's going on. I think
that's not so, to stay on topic. Quarry tile is what you're saying.
Quarry tile is a little inner. Yeah. I have to say it's really just hospitality. I don't have any designers saying, okay, we're doing a bathroom, we'd love some Quarry tile. It just goes along. You're doing a back of house in a restaurant or something, and they need some stuff, and they're picking Quarry. So
back, Quarry tile was, I don't know if it's its heyday or whatever. And when Crossville came out, Crossville tried to make a porcelain to substitute the Quarry. You remember, I don't know if it was the Cross Color series or whatever it was, but they even had with the tire tread, I don't know what you call it, the raised stuff on it.
Steel plate look.
Yeah, the steel plate look. And if I'm not mistaken, Chick-fil-A still uses that in their back of house. But I don't know that they ever, number one, I don't think they could ever get to the price point of the Quarry with the porcelain, but they made a good shot of it, and I think they got some good specs on it. But I don't know if that's still out there or not.
Yeah, I really haven't come across that lately. That's interesting. Next time I go to Chick-fil-A, I'll have to sneak to the back of the house and
just look over the counter
before they call the police.
What else was I thinking is on the outs?
I could tell you something that's definitely back.
Okay, tell me.
Definitely warmer tones and even like almost like we have a line in Tile Bar called Parma.
Yeah.
Parma. And it's like a terracotta look. It's very traditional. And years ago, not many years ago, everything was just white and gray. And things have definitely become more traditional. And we had zero available in this look. And now we have something called Parma. And it really, it's a terracotta look. There's some actually interlocking pieces that are really kind of, I guess, Spanish looking or upscale Spanish.
Well, I know why it changed.
Why is that?
Because I finally took my warm tone home, and we started renovating it and painting it all cool tones. So as soon as we started that process, the cool tones started moving out, and now the warm tones are back.
So you're saying when you decorated your kitchen with all cow decor and then you got rid of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's all, we got the cherry cabinets, the beige tile, it's just 2005. And as soon as we started renovating it, started coming back in style. But my wife and I, we shook hands on it and we said, we don't care. We're staying the course, and we're sticking with the cool tones.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. If you always wanted a kitchen with a hand painted fruit basket in your backsplash, even though it's out, if it's 10, 20 years later and you're finally getting your home, do it. It's just where it really plays into it is if you're a designer and you're designing, you have to constantly be changing, to something a new direction, right?
Right.
There's no designer that's just, there aren't any self-respecting designers that are doing the same thing for 20 years, right? So it's really more in that realm. So in the upscale realm, and again, if you have an upscale home and then you're going to buy a second home, and then you want that maybe different from your first home, and then you're going to sell that second home, and then you're going to buy something else. You're always going to that next thing. But
Yeah.
in the mainstream market, if you want a red quarry tile, go for it. I mean, it's your house, it's your life, and
That's right.
that's
If
what I
I'm out
do.
of style, I'm just out of style.
Exactly.
The key, I guess, anytime I've talked to a designer, I'm like, I just need something classic, something that kind of straddles the middle of the fence and will look good. And you're right. You don't design for resale. Design it for what you want it if you're going to live in it. So that's what
Well,
you should do.
I always found it interesting when someone says, "Oh, I want to design this to be able to sell a house and this and that," and that makes sense if you have no plans to sell your house in 2 to 3 years. That means it's 10 years. And then what are
Yeah.
you going to live with something else, something just because you want to keep it? And then guess what? When you sell your house, well, let's do the bathroom all white because it's, I don't want to put blue because the next person may like it. Guess what? Someone's buying your house, they hate white. And they're going to hate
That's
that
right.
also, so it's hard enough for the husband and wife, let's say, or the couple to agree. Now you have to worry about the person who may buy your house in 8 years, what they're going to like.
That's right. That's possibly down the road.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes sense if you really do have that like 5-year plan and you're definitely putting the house up for sale. And then that's the whole argument of, do you take out, and our friend brought this up, right? Take out a tub, I heard you have to keep a tub in the house. Well, it's good for yourself. You don't think you need it, then all of a sudden you have an accident and you need to soak in a tub. That's one thing. But for resale, they say you always should keep a tub, right? But I mean, most likely someone's buying your house, especially in the upscale market, they're just ripping it out and starting over. They don't care what you have. You might as well enjoy it. Reminds me of the typical New York Italian household that has a nice sofa that has plastic on it until the day it goes in the garbage. And you never got to feel the fabric. Like we had a lime green sofa, I'm telling you. It was then we had white, but but you never got the
plastic on it. That's crazy.
Never got to use it. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, we use and destroy stuff at my house.
That's the way I like it.
Well, I agree with you. I think the warm tones are coming back. I like that Parma series, and actually, hopefully, we're going to see some installed soon with a partnership we just did, which we can talk about later. But one of the things that has been coming along for the last 5 or 6 years, I want to get your opinion on what do you think it's going to do this year, and that's LVT.
Wow. So LVT is killing it in the market, in the world. I mean, LVT is capturing more flooring business in such a fast pace than any other product. And so the answer is why. I mean, it's always technology, right? Mm-hmm. If you have putting something down, it looks like 1975 linoleum floor, and it's not going to fly. Right. So LVT, luxury vinyl tile, as Tile Bar calls it, and some people call it, I guess, LVPs, luxury vinyl panels and
plank.
Yeah. Absolutely. LVT is strong and it's growing, and it's because of the technology, aesthetics and performance. So the main reason that people have hesitated using LVT was sometimes because it looked cheap, right? But now because of the technology, the printing, the textures, the lengths. I mean, we have LVT products that are like 70 something, 80 inches long, 9 inches wide. So it looks really, really cool. I've done some upscale multifamily units, like 24 units with an upscale LVT product. Wow. Where previously they would have used a tile. But it's also interesting, LVT. Another reason LVT, and I think this is overlooked. When was the last time you went to a hotel? And I'm not talking your typical Craig Cahoon Motel 6, vacation. Or, I'm talking about, you're spending a couple $100 a night.
Whew.
Yeah, I know, for kings. When do you see carpet?
Yeah. I mean, I was just in New York right before the holidays, and uh, I've stayed at a few hotels around the office, and none of them that have gone through recent renovations have carpet anymore. It's LVT in the bedroom area and tile in
Yeah.
the bathrooms.
Yeah. So it used to be, I mean, it used to be 1,000% of the hotel rooms would have carpet floor, right?
Yeah.
So now I think hotels, even a cheaper hotel. So I think the less costly LVT products are going into the less costly hotels, but they're taking the place of the carpet. And then LVT is being escalated to like a restaurant. I just did a restaurant project and they did LVT, a high end. Actually, I think it was Colorado. I have to think about it.
Hey.
Um, and they're putting LVT down. It's beautiful. Now, also keep in mind, LVT is a lot less investment. So if you want to change the style of the restaurant in 8 years from now, it's not
Yeah.
crazy jackhammering it out. So LVT has a lot of reasons why it's growing, the aesthetics and the performance, of it.
And then
What
one
do you
thing you
think?
didn't mention, I mean, just the overall cost. I mean, the install material, all that together is, it, I wouldn't say it used to be significantly cheaper than tile. Now it's not as significant, but it's still less expensive to get a high grade LVT compared to a standard porcelain. You're going to get a great product, and you're going to save some money.
No, I still think it's a significant difference. I mean, I was just talking to a contractor that's on a project where now they're in like a penalty phase because they're behind and they have to pay overtime. It's $200 an hour they're
That's
paying for
crazy.
tile installers instead of the $100 or whatever in New York. So the prevailing wage, is insane. So yeah, it's definitely a big difference in labor. Material, you can absolutely get a high-end LVT that's the same price as a basic porcelain, right? So $3, $4, $5, whatever you're talking about, but labor is the differentiator for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think. What do you think of the LVT products?
I like it. I mean, I held off for a long time just because of my history. But I worked for a multi product install company, and they kind of, here's the LVT, and I'm like, no, I'm tile, no, I'm tile. But eventually, I put in some LVT, and it put in good. And actually, I'm sitting on it right now, and I have it in my own house, and so I like it. I still would prefer tile in some areas, but for a residential area, I mean, my office and studio was perfect for LVT. Uh,
There's a benefit also. There is a feature that is people like. They like the fact that the acoustics of it are much better than a tile.
mhm.
Right. There is no grout. We all know grout is, kind of the weak link of a tile. Not that it's weak structurally, but, dust could sit in there, it could get dirty if you're not using the right grout or not sealing it.
It's the
And where
redheaded
LV,
stepchild, if you will.
yeah, exactly. So, there's less to maintenance, I guess, in a way. But it's not as durable as porcelain. It's not indestructible, right? There's downsides to it,
But
but
it's better than carpet, I mean, other than maybe some heat transfer qualities that carpet will bring you and some sound, but it's a whole lot easier to keep clean and a lot more durable. And I can roll my chair around on it, and it doesn't get stuck and
yeah, no,
all
it
that
has
good
its
stuff.
advantages. Hey,
So
we're
yeah,
speaking about hotels and carpet.
yep.
What's with hotels? They designed the ugliest carpet for the hallways. Do they go out of their way
And
to
what
make them ugly?
and if you wouldn't believe how expensive those pattern match carpets are,
I don't
in
understand.
it's nuts, and how expensive they are and how much waste there is. I did a few hotels with carpet, and I did one of those. It's kind of like a Dave and Buster's, but it was a locally owned place,
Right.
and they had this
Jim and
wool.
Billy's.
Jim and Billy's, that's right.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had this wool carpet with patterns on it that you had to match each roll, and it was I want to say like $300 or $400 a yard. It's crazy, and kids are running around with slushies. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? You have a hotel hallway, people are putting their, room service food trays out and chilling. And so I think they're deliberately like really busy, but it's almost like you ever see people have the ugly sweater contest. I mean, they should
Yeah,
have like an ugly hotel carpet
they
contest.
have
I mean,
no con-
there's,
good one.
I
But they've
mean,
got to keep it quiet out there. That's the reason they have to have it so thick. Is you don't want your patrons complaining that somebody's walking up and down the hallway,
yeah,
and with that thick carpet, they are, and you don't hear them.
that's true. But there's something interesting about it. If you're in a hotel, even fancy hotel, and you're walking down a hallway and somehow that busy carpet is not, it's not distracting or annoying to you until you stop and think about it. And now anytime I go to a hotel, I stop and look. I said, this would not fly anywhere else in any other
In the world. Well,
in the
see, all
world.
the hotels I stay out of the car, pulls right up to the door, so
Ah,
there's no carpet between car. It's
ah,
just a sidewalk.
I see.
Now, John, we have wasted a full hour almost talking about 2024. What are you most excited about for this year as we as we wrap up, and let's talk about the next few weeks coming up?
Well, I'm excited about from a tile bar perspective. I'm excited about uh, the different combinations of products that we're presenting. It's not just like a one lane.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, of course, unique porcelains, unique ceramics. We have, metal tile, we have glass tile, we have all that. But then Tile Bar per se, is bringing on vanities and mirrors, setting materials, tools, a lot of things
Shower
that
doors.
shower doors. That's big. I mean, that the program, I was a little skeptical because I'm like, man, we're going to be shipping shower doors on skids, but they have a really good system, and it's being done, successfully. So I'm excited from a Tile Bar perspective. I'm excited about that, and the fact that Tile Bar per se is, looking at expanding the retail footprint across the country, real aggressively. I'm also excited about the architectural and design division. We're expanding our sales team, getting more boots on the ground, talking to architects and designers. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. What about you?
I'm excited about all of those things, and the biggest thing that's right in front of me is we're getting ready to launch. And speaking of Tile Bar again, getting ready to launch our learning center
Ah,
on our website, which is kind of a passion project for me. I love talking about tile. I love teaching and trying to help people troubleshoot their issues, and that's going to be a part of our website, and it's going to be a hub for anybody in the world to come to try to find the answers to hopefully a question, and just keep everybody up to date on the how to use certain things and what works with what. So I'm super excited about that. I'm excited about the upcoming coverings, which is in April. And
ah,
just so next week I'm going to be at Surfaces. I've never been to Surfaces before, but next week I'm headed out there. So I'm leaving you next Tuesday night, and I'll be in Vegas. If anybody out there is going to be in Vegas, um, drop me a note. I'd love to say hi and sign an autograph. No, I don't know. Nobody wants my autograph, but say hello. So yeah, we got a busy few weeks coming up, just with things out of the office. So you may see a couple of encore presentations. John, is that right?
oh yeah, we're gonna be mixing it up this year. Craig and I have a real busy schedule. This show is every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. This is the Tile Happy Hour. And once in a while, some shows are just so good, we want to like show them to you again. So we kind of queue them up for days where Craig and I are traveling, or it's just impossible to get together to put the live episode out that evening. But we do have some really cool guests coming in. We also have some. We're going to be broadcasting from Atlanta. We're going to be broadcasting from Florida. and maybe even a jail cell, depending on how the year goes. We'll
That's
see.
right.
So we're going to be broadcasting every Tuesday, 8 p.m. For the most part. So stay tuned. It was a lot going on. So we're really happy. It's really crazy. It's January 15th, and I've just been doing so much planning for the year. Like I know it's half the month is gone, but it feels like we're really deep into 2024 because I've just been really strategizing, planning. My schedule's getting jammed up. So it's good. It's good. It's really good stuff. So this has been fun. Good to talk about random stuff about tile. This is the Tile Happy Hour. My name is John Tedisco, and I'd like to wish you peace, health, and happiness.
Thanks, John. I look forward to 2024. It's going to be fun. Let us know what you're excited about in 2024 in the tile industry or just in your life. Hey, we care about that too. But as always, keep learning together. Let's tile the world.